your host, sponsored by Detour Auto Sales. If you're looking for a reliable car at a good price, Detour Auto Sales, take the detour. Uh, I'm Rick Beery and proud owner of Rick's Eatery and Entertainment and Beery Construction. Today's guest is Rick Willison and Gary Pierce, and we're going to talk about their nonprofit and the good they do in the community and world. Um, but first, let's talk about some food because I miss breakfast. Yeah, the past week or so, I've been jonesing some shrimp, and we make some great fish tacos here at Rick's. And I brought some shrimp in, and we made shrimp tacos, and we're introducing that this Wednesday as a nice little treat. But it's just grilled shrimp, cabbage, and then I have a Rick sauce that we put on it, which is like a tomatillo ranch with fresh salsa, and it's like really great. And we gave out some samples, and everybody seems to like it. So, fish tacos and shrimp tacos at Rick's. Well, you guys are part of Xtreme Team, and the first question that came to mind is, what's the most extreme thing you've ever done?
Well, it's to leave this right now and go get some shrimp tacos, actually. So those sound amazing. We miss breakfast as well. So we've done a lot of different things. Our whole thing is, we bring down walls of bricks and we, bend stuff and all that good stuff. But honestly, the most extreme, and you can exchange that word with stupid as well, thing that I've ever done was when I was in Ethiopia a few years ago. And now, remember, I'm blind, and so this is kind of exciting when you think about it. They took us out. They said, "Hey, you want to feed the hyenas?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that'd be cool." And I'm thinking zoo. And we go out into the middle of the wilderness, and it's nighttime, and the headlights of the vehicle are lighting up everything, and they got some local Ethiopian guys who are calling in the hyenas, and they're wild, and they're just going help, help, yelling, and they had me come over, and they put a piece of meat on a stick like a skewer, right? And they said, just hold it right out in front of you. So I do, and they I don't know if you've seen a hyena. I haven't. I'm blind, but they're huge. And they came right up to us, and I'm kneeling down, and it just you can feel the breath, and it takes that meat off the stick. Well, we weren't done there because he said you're extreme, so let's do extreme. So they put another piece of meat on there and had me stick the stick in my mouth. And that animal came up. I could feel its breath on my face, its snot hitting my cheeks, and it took that meat right out of that stick that I had in my mouth. And at that moment, I felt something run into my mouth. So I didn't know if it was blood from the meat or something the hyena did. But I was sitting there and I was so thankful that I had a face left, let alone a jugular vein. And it took off again. And I took one of those wet ones, the alcohol ones that you're disinfectant. And I opened it up and I just stuck it in my mouth and sucked on it for a few minutes. But we have video of it. And I got to admit, that's the most extreme thing I've ever done because, well, I'm kind of stupid
That's
sometimes.
pretty extreme.
Yeah. So.
Feeding it.
I don't recommend it at all. Yeah. But,
nice, nice. Cats or dogs?
Oh, cats or dogs?
Yeah.
Oh, dogs all the time.
Dogs.
Yeah.
Well, I was looking on your website, um, and it mentioned you're a father, husband, and you have this nonprofit, but I couldn't get past the the outfit you guys wear. It's like a speedo and tights. You have like
You're on the wrong website, brother.
it says extreme on the back. It's a colorful, bright uniform. Can you explain that?
Yeah, and first of all, for the listeners out there, if you go to tjmi.net, you'll see all this, or you can search us on Facebook at TJMI, the number 9, the number 8, and it'll bring up our Facebook page, and you can see a bunch of videos and stuff there as well. So the outfit is red, black, and it has white on it as well. The name on the back is in white. The black, and it makes it, if I hold my arms out, it makes a big X, right? In the middle of that X is right in the middle of us because we truly believe we're a target. When we go out, thank you. When we go out, we're picking a fight with the devil. To be honest with you, we're not going into mamby-pamby people or whatever. We're going in to share the gospel message and help people get into a relationship with Jesus. And when you look at the outfit, the black on the outfit represents sin. We all have it, right? And so that's what that's there for. And then the red represents the blood of Jesus. And that blood of Jesus didn't just come to cover our sins, but it washes our sins away. And it says in the Bible that he makes us white as snow. That's why the white's on there. And, and it's a giant X. And then when you look at the name Xtreme Team, the X in Xtreme Team is a cross and it's kind of on its side a little bit. And so, but what it is, it's the message of Jesus Christ, right? He died on that cross to wash away our sins. His blood was shed to wash away our sins. And he didn't just die. Like they put him in a tomb, and 3 days later, he was raised from the dead by God. And he has gone and gone up into heaven eventually. But while he was still here for 40 more days, over 500 people saw him and spent time with him and talked to him and ate with him. And then he ascended up in the clouds up to heaven where people were witness to that. And you go, well, yeah, that's a Bible story. Well, you can also look at secular historians like a guy named Josephus who talks about that. And he wasn't a believer at all, but he just gave the historical, account of it. And so that whole thing is, why we do what we do. And so that X, that cross, that's a radical message to tell people, but it's also a message that changes lives. So if you look at the rest of the name, Xtreme Team, the TREMETEAM, that's an acronym. It stands for Taking a Radical Evangelistic Message Everywhere to Equip All Mankind. So we're very purposeful in what we do. And that's what that uniform's all about. So
Very good. So I also saw an incident where, was it money being thrown out?
oh no, but you know what you saw? What it is one of the object lessons we do, and they're really hard to find. Moses Lake has them. I have a bunch in my bag right now because they're hard to find. Are phone books. And what we do is we take a phone book. Now, for the younger listeners that don't know what a phone book is, it's the way we used to communicate with each other. Everybody had their name in the phone book, and businesses were in the yellow pages of the phone book. They were actually pages that were yellow, and so we have, and that's actually where Yelp came from. Yellow pages is what that stands for. But what we do is we take the phone book and we let it represent a couple things. Like we could let it represent excuses. We could say, you know what, it's easy to make excuses not to put your faith in Jesus or not to follow Jesus. And the phone books have hundreds of pages in them, and so we say let every page, be an excuse that you might have. Or we could say it represents materialism because everything that the world has to offer is in the phone book: computers, cars, anything and everything, video games, anything you could think of, shoes, clothing, all this stuff, right? And so we let that represent that. Or, I say, well, this is the devil's work because it used to have everybody's name in it from that town, right? And so we'd say the devil wants to destroy everybody in this book, but we want to set them free. So what we do with the phone book is we'll take it and we rip it in half from top to bottom. We just grab a hold of it and we just pop it and rip it in half. And then the loose half, what we like to do is take it. It's funny, I'm doing all these motions. We're not on video. Is take it and throw it up in the air. That's what you saw. And then it just spreads out and it comes down like big pieces of snow all over the place. But it's to remind people that God wants to destroy that stuff so that you can have a great life with him. And I'll also tell them, like when I talk about excuses, I'll say, your excuses, they're like your armpits. Everybody's got a couple, smell them because they usually stink, right? And if you don't believe me, Rick, you can smell my armpit and you'll see. But also, I'll take it and I'll say, I'll take one piece because when we're in third world countries and we throw that phone book, you know how phone book paper is, it's thinner and all that. When we throw that phone book, it'll hit the ground, but won't stay on the ground because people pick it up because it makes great toilet paper, and toilet paper isn't abundant around the world. Like it's like 2020 all the time around the world, right? It's just not there. And so I'll grab a piece of that and I'll say, and that's all your excuses are good for. And I'll, mind wiping my rear end with it, just my excuses aren't much good. So
your hand motions are all right. You are on video.
Oh, am I? Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, man.
And,
Throw blind guy a bone here.
And I'll smell your armpits in a minute.
Okay. So that's you.
I was really hoping it was money and you do a demonstration right now, but
I did. Well, give me some money. I have a magic trick with money. I can make it disappear.
Yeah. Man.
So.
Did you have a childhood nickname?
Well, Sorta. Yeah, no, I've had a lot of different nicknames come through. Right now, my nickname is the Blind Fury, but
Nice.
and Gary's got a really cool nickname. So when we were in India, the kids saw him, and you can see Gary's a big dude, right? And they saw him and they saw what he did, and it reminded them of somebody, and so they started chanting his name, and I was like, that is the coolest nickname. And his nickname was Cutie Pie.
I see it.
And that's how I get hit at every school assembly by him when I say that. But they really called him Big Show. They thought he was Big Show. And we have another guy on our team that's bald. They thought he was what's that other Stone Cold Steve Austin. He'd go, you hear him going Stone Cold, Stone Cold. We're out in the middle of Africa, and these kids know wrestling, and I'm like, but yeah, mine is Blind Fury, but it's also when I was young, I was wiry, and I loved playing football, and you just couldn't catch me. I was all over the place, and they called me Crazy Legs. And then I wore glasses, and they called me Four Eyes. So I've had a lot of different nicknames. So
Okay. So you weren't blind your whole life.
no, it's something that kicked in as an adult. When I hit 30, I actually got to the point where I couldn't drive anymore. I actually rolled my car 2.5 times because I took my eyes off the road to grab something and the road turned and I didn't. And so I just kind of rolled down into a ravine. But in the last 5 years, it's gotten to the point where I really can't see anything at all. I mean, like you're very handsome, Rick, so that kind of tells you what I can see.
I
Okay.
appreciate that.
And it's an eye disease called retinitis pigmentosa, and it attacks your retinas and destroys them. And there's no cure for it as of yet, but there is the RP Foundation, and they're working on it constantly. So who knows? Maybe one day we'll see. Good pun.
Is there like the gift of being blind? Like, what do you see differently than you did when you could see?
So, I think you're the first person I've ever talked to that said the gift. And it is a gift, really, because when I could see, I believed I could do all things through Rick, who gave me strength, me. And I was strong, I was agile, I had ability. I was playing semi-pro football. I was trying out for, pro teams. I actually played on the practice team for the 49ers back in '88. I'm old. And I weighed 295. I weigh about 240 now. And so I really thought I could do anything I wanted to because I was athletic and strong and just do whatever I want. But when I started losing my vision, now there is the old wives' tale that, oh, you hear better, or like with Daredevil, when it rains, you can tell the person because it's like wax hitting on them or whatever.
Echolocation.
Yes, and there are people, some blind people have echo relocation where they can click their tongue and they can tell where stuff is. I don't have that. But really, being blind has opened my spiritual eyes because now, and it's weird because as a blind guy, I'm very visual in my teaching. I like to do things, thus the Xtreme Team, that's visual, that helps you see what we're talking about. And so I think it's really just helped me to understand, number one, that I can't do all things through Rick, who gives me strength, but I can do all things through Christ, who gives me strength. Number two is that I realize that if I can show you something in a visual way, it'll help people understand better what I'm talking about. And the other thing is, I think it becomes a blessing for others because I'm independent as a blind person, but I'm not overly independent or overly arrogant about being blind. Like, if you want to help me walk somewhere, I'll walk with you. I mean, I do have a white cane. By the way, my white cane has a name. Its name is Seymour because he sees more than I do. But I will use my cane. But I also don't mind just walking with people. Like my wife and I, we walk, we just hold hands. Not sure how it works, but I know when there's curves and different things, and we just walk along. Like, I can see, you wouldn't know. A lot of times you'll see, like when I came in here, I'll have my hand on somebody's shoulder, and it just helps me get through. When I go up on stage, I'll just go up with somebody. A lot of times they don't know I'm blind till I tell them I'm blind because I'll just walk up, I have my hand on their shoulder, they're standing there, they're holding stuff for me, they'll hand me stuff as I'm getting ready to do it or whatever. But I have to tell people that I'm blind. And the other thing is, I've learned, like, I don't want to be that blind guy that just stares off into space, right? And so even now as I do this, I'll look at you and I'm looking where your voice is coming from because I want to engage with you. So I don't want to just like be staring off into nothingness.
Right.
And so I think blindness has opened the doors. I know it's what brought me my salvation because I realized that I needed God and that I couldn't do it on my own. So, yeah.
What is your favorite color?
My favorite color is red. And so I love red. I've painted motorcycles red. I've painted vehicles red, but I love red because it just represents fast. And I like that.
How many chickens to kill an elephant?
How many chickens to kill an elephant? Just one if you do it right.
If you do it right.
Yeah. So
Um, Tell me about Africa.
I like the way you just throw these little questions in. I'm like going, wow, you're making me think. What would you like to know about Africa?
I saw that there was a water project that you guys did out there.
Yeah, and if you go on our website, you can go under resources at one of the tabs, and there's videos on that. We have a YouTube channel. It's TJMI videos, and you can see a lot of our videos, a lot of the crazy stuff.
It was like Southeast Kenya.
Yeah, so we work with the Maasai. We've worked with a lot of people in Kenya, but we've been working a lot with the Maasai people. And Gary was with me. We're in a town called Narusara, and we saw the need for water. They don't have water. I don't even have electricity. And so we put together a fundraiser because believe it or not, it costs about 40 grand to put a well in Africa. And so we had to raise all that support to do that. We got the well into place. It took a while because just finding the water and there's a lot of, I don't know how you want to say it, but it's like there's a lot of thievery that goes on in governments around the world. And so, yeah, believe it or not.
I don't believe it.
Yeah, I know. Because we live in the US where none of that happens. We won't get on that soapbox today. But anyways, there's a lot of corruption. So it took us a couple of years to actually get it into place. And so the well, when we got finally running, we hit a major aquifer. They said we'll never run out of water. And so we put it in. Originally, I thought it was going to be for about 10,000 people. But then when we got there, they said that this will bring water to about 30,000 Maasai people and their animals. And in the video, you'll see this because the women come in. We have the tanks up on top of a little building. The pump and everything's inside, or pump's down the well, but the generator's inside that brings the electricity. It runs on fuel and all that. And then they're able to fill the tank. It's a 10,000 liter tank. And then it will go down and it will fill up the trough for the animals, but it also comes out and there's a faucet where actually there's two of them where people can fill their containers up with water. Now, these people used to walk about 10 kilometers to get to where the water was. And it's a river that is pretty much mud. And so they'd have to dig up the mud to get to the water. So now they're drinking brown water. They're trying to wash their clothing, all that kind of stuff in it. What this does is it goes down to the aquifer, brings up fresh water, and they're able to wash clothes. There was a lot of women out there doing that. And they're also able to fill up their stuff. Now, when we finally got the well running, I was there. And we fired it off, and it's like the hillsides moved. I mean, they were just telling me like, wow, there's something was moving over there. It turned out it was the Maasai people with their animals. They heard the well, they were told that it was coming, and they came down, and their sheep and their goats and their cattle, they're drinking out of the trough. Actually, while we were there, baby lamb was born right there in front of us. Like it was coming out of the mama, and this Maasai guy just walks over, pulls it out, bundles it up, and keeps going. Man, it was the most incredible thing that I've never seen. And as we went through and we saw that, they said that this water is so important because now these 30,000 people will have water and it's close by. It's an essential area. So now they've built a school by there. They've also got a marketplace. We turned it over. We don't keep it. We don't say it's ours. You have to pay for water. We turned it over to the Maasai chief in the area. And we said, listen, this is for your people. And the guy I worked with, he's also a Maasai chief. He oversees 10,000 people and he's a pastor. And so as we turn this over and help them understand this is yours to take care of, what they do is they charge each person, or each family, just a couple shillings. That's their money, right? It comes from England and that, but it's just a couple shillings. To give you an idea, 150 shillings equals $1 American. Okay. But what that does is it allows them to keep buying petrol for that generator so that they can keep that water getting pumped out. And it also puts a guard at the shack just to keep everything safe and sound. And they'll always have water. They'll be able to maintain all that. But there's a great video on that. If you go onto our website and look, you can see the actual thing working.
So tell me about the Kenyan people, like the ones I've interacted with, are a beautiful, positive people. But since you were in Kenya, I'd like to hear your
So
sentiment.
yeah, and so it's not. So let's just grab that whole area. So Ethiopia, Tanzania, or Tanzania, as people would say there, Kenya, all that, right? The Kenyan people are amazing. The first time I went was in '99. It was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. Our first overseas mission trip and all that. I left saying I'll never go back to this place because it was so harsh out in the Turkana desert. We were working with the Turkana people, but no matter what, they're smiling. Like I can remember just walking for 2 or 3 miles. They said go that way with our interpreter and a couple guys for about 2 or 3 miles, and you'll find a tribe of people there. Share the gospel with them. And so we walked out and did that. Smiles on their faces all the time. Like they live in the harshest situations, but yet they just go after it. And then even then, as we're going out and we're sharing the gospel, like we're in different places. There was a guy that walked in from somewhere out there by Lake Victoria or something. He was a long ways away, but he walked for 3 days to get to us because he heard that we were going to be talking about Jesus, and he wanted to know who this Jesus was. And so, even the first time I went in '99, and we're getting trained by Kenyans, Share International, Dr. Sammy Marini. We went out, he's done ministry with them for over 20 years now, 25 years now. He said, listen, here's the thing. As you bring the gospel message here, he goes, you're going to be amazed at the reception you get. It's not like America. He goes, you're going to go back to America. And quite honestly, a lot of times you're going to feel like you're casting your pearls before pigs because in America, they have so much they don't care about God. They think that they're doing it on their own. And I was like, wow, it's kind of harsh. But when you see the response and you see that these people have nothing and they're happier, they have more joy than a lot of people in the West. And it's hard to explain because we live in this Western bubble and we deal with stuff and we'll get upset because we didn't get our coffee this morning. These guys will walk miles to get water. These guys will walk miles to get some food. They'll take their herd of skinny animals that look like we would think they're dying just to find a patch of grass for them to graze in, just to find a puddle of water for them to drink from. And they're very nomadic and moving around. And so as you get, that's out in the rural areas. So when you get into the cities like Nairobi or Eldoret or Mombasa or different places, nowadays it's getting more and more Americanized, more Westernized because there's a lot of British influence there as well. You see that there's still there's desperation. There's homeless, like the street boys and different things going on. There's danger that can be involved because they can be, ruthless. They're just desperate to have money to have something because they live in a city, and it's hard to find things. But overall, the people that I work with and I'm around, and even the ones that are hurting, um, if you can just help them a little bit, they're super thankful, and they're doing, they're going after the right thing. One of the biggest problems is shoe glue. They'll take hits off of shoe glue to get high, and if they start doing that when they're 13, 14 years old, they'll be dead by the time they're 20. That's how hard it is on them. But they do it because that little bit of shoe glue, like they'll put it on a piece of gum and they'll chew it. And spit it back in a bottle and then walk around with that bottle. That little bit of sugar will get them high for like 4 or 5, 6 hours, and they'll forget about their hunger. And that's one of the biggest things that we saw hunger. Now, we have been confronted. We were confronted more than once, sometimes by Muslims in that over there. And one time, the first time we were there, they came up to us and they saw, because we're white, obviously, and we're in this market area, and they started yelling at us. And like, I just looked at my brother Tim. I'm like, going, man, hang on, because I'm not sure what's going to happen here. And he was saying, how dare you come to our country and tell us about Jesus when we're starving? But thank God I was with the right people because the first thing we did when we got there was we brought truckloads of food into the people and we gave them foodstuffs, corn, which they call maize, rice, different things like that, so that they could have food. And I was able to tell them, hey, I didn't come here to do that. I came here to help. And we fed. And then we told the reason why, which is Jesus. And their whole, you know, their whole self just changed to, oh, wow, okay, that's cool. And so we've seen that over and over again. But overall, man, I would live in Kenya. I would live there. I have great friends there. Like I said, I've been going there. I said after the first time I'd never go back. I've been back 11 times. And so God just does, I know God does things. He says, what else don't you want to do? Let's go do that again. But it's been some of the most amazing trips I've ever been on. Last year was an amazing trip. And we speak in schools where there's thousands of kids. And it's just amazing. Like you go and you just go, I just want to stay here. I just want to help these people. And then you realize how awesome they are, how hardworking they are, and the things of the I have some great friends in ministry there, all Kenyans. I don't really go in and work with the missionaries anymore. I go in and work straight with the Kenyans, and it's a blast. So.
Awesome. No, I mean, I did share that or ask that question because I knew what the answer outcome would be. I spent, man, close to 3 years overseas, and I've been in places with dirt floors, and they give me the shirt off their back. And
Yeah.
they have nothing. Like you only got one shirt, and you can give it to me.
Yeah.
It's amazing, and help me see, I guess, uh, happiness or authenticity,
Joy, real joy.
joy
Yeah, yeah.
in the simplicity of things. And yes, in the West, I do believe we're missing a lot of that. We have so much, and we take it all for granted. But yeah, I did ask that question on purpose because I knew what the answer was.
Well, and here's the thing:
90% what it would be.
some of these people in the rural areas, like it's just amazing. Like my buddy Japheth, right? I've been working with him for over 20 years, and he drives me everywhere. He's my ministry partner there, and I got another guy, Jars, who's his name's Jarson, but we call him Jaws or Jars. And when we go into places, like we're driving along and we're walking along, and he sees somebody in need, and he's pulling money out of his pocket to help the guy, where he's grabbing food out of the van and saying, here, take this.
Yeah.
And it's like just their generosity. And Japheth was raised in one of the largest slums in Kenya, and he's one of 9 kids. And yet he's not stayed there. He's raised himself up. God's used him in amazing ways. And he's generous. Like he will give beyond what we'd ever think of giving because he's been there, he's done that, and he knows how people need help, and he just wants to help. His heart is for that. So yeah, you're right, Rick. It's amazing.
What's your go-to karaoke song?
Okay, first of all, karaoke is Japanese for I can't sing, and so I don't do that.
Oh, really?
So you want hip hop, you go talk to Donnie Parker, and he'll be the one doing the singing. Me, they just say, like when I was in church and I said I'd really like to sing a solo, and they said, well, can you do it so low that nobody can hear it? And I go, well, what about a duet? And they go, yeah, duet somewhere else. So I don't karaoke. I apologize, but I just don't.
um, what's your favorite hobby?
My favorite hobby. I'm a weird dude. Okay, so one thing is I like to work out. Okay, I don't know if you call it a hobby or not, but I do like to work out. And honestly, my downtime is just hanging out with my wife and my daughter and doing stuff. But I don't fish. I don't hunt. Well, they don't like me to hunt because I kill too many trees, I think. But overall, like I don't have a hobby like making this or building that or doing this or doing that. It's more I like to write a little bit. Like I said, I've written a couple books, but I like to work out. I like to stay strong. I like the outdoors. That's good, But I don't really have like what's a normal hobby for people. I just like helping people. So I don't know. I'm weird. Ask my friends.
So let's tap into your business mind.
Okay.
I'm I'm getting really close to starting a nonprofit, and what tips and tricks do you have for doing something like that?
Authenticity. And so basically, the reason we started a nonprofit was so that we could go out and do what God had for us to do. And so when you look at doing a nonprofit, like I hired a lawyer to put it all together for me. I had, everything that we needed to line it up, so that it was proper and correct. We make sure all the paperwork is done correctly every year. But really, the whole idea behind, because there's a lot of people, they call them NGOs in other countries and nonprofits that start those, and it's really so that they can pay themselves and make a lot of money. We see that with our quote unquote politicians that have nonprofits that bring in millions of dollars and they get paid this huge amount of money. But really, why do you want to start the nonprofit? Who is it you want to help? What's the purpose behind the nonprofit? And do you need a nonprofit to do it, or is that just something that people do so that they can not pay taxes and just kind of clip money off there through through getting paid by the nonprofit. And so what I would say is be authentic about it, be real about it, have great integrity in it, and ask yourself, why are we doing this? Is it to help other people, or is it just to help myself, or is it just to say, well, I have a nonprofit? But there's no tricks involved. It's just authenticity and being real about it and making sure that, you stay on track with what the government's asking from you so that you don't get in trouble, because they will put you in trouble if you do things wrong. So
The answer is D, all of the above.
yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, for Thanksgiving last year, we fed like 512 people for Thanksgiving. So
That's perfect.
we do a little bit of stuff, and then I have donated a bit of space in my back room here to nonprofits and different.
The rabbit hole, right?
Yeah,
That's called.
rabbit
I like that. Yeah. I'm still looking for Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah, when you see her, let me know. But yeah, I was like, but there are tax incentives to that, and some people want to donate, and they're like, how do I get a deduction on that? And I was like, at some point, I need to step it up and just.
And that's a good reason, and that's why we did it, Rick. Is a part of it is because as people give, even though our politicians in America are trying to take that away, as they give, you want to be able to give them that tax deduction because it's one of the things that we're allowed to do. It's a great reason to have a nonprofit. That's what I was thinking when you said you fed over 500 people. That money's got to come from somewhere. And it's great to be able to give back to them that write off on their taxes. So, yeah, that's a great reason to have a nonprofit. So,
Very good.
because you're helping people. That's a big deal.
Well, let's pick on Gary for a little bit. Are you ready?
Yeah, I guess so.
Gary Pierce, you've been quiet this whole time. What would you like to share with us? What is your purpose in all this?
Oh, I don't know why my voice got all messed up all of a sudden, but it's just to do what he said and just go out and help and you see a lot of things. When I went overseas, I never expected to do that. And Rick, he got me to go and do a few things here with him locally. And then he said, let's go. And so we did. And my first trip was in India.
India can be a pretty rough place.
Yeah, it was something else. We got off the plane and he said, smell that? This is a third world country, brother.
Yeah.
Get ready. And there was people going everywhere. It was something else, but it really opened my eyes because the people, when you see them and they want help, but they're not begging for money like you see on TV all the time. They want help. They really do. They want to get somewhere. And they're pretty driven too. Driver and stuff. We didn't have nothing. First thing I did is I tipped the guys and got our luggage to us, and I tipped them 50 rupees. It seemed like nothing, and I gave it to them, and another guy come down and he said, "Oh, great! Some dummy gave them guys too much money. We don't have anybody to help us now because they took a week off."
So they do that in the United States as well. Yeah, India's kind of a class society there, so it's really hard to level up. Outside that, yeah, very fascinating people there. India, yeah, my parents lived in India for about a year. In fact, India saved my father's life. He had like a prostate problem, and in India, they went in and did a checkup on him, but they checked like your whole body. In the United States, we're kind of like, oh, there's your issue. We're kind of issue specific, but they scanned his whole body and said, hey, you have a kidney that's like just a mass. It's like a tumor or something. So he flew back to the United States, and the surgeon said, yeah, they saved your life. We would have been operating on your prostate and your kidney would have failed or whatever. You would have died on the table. How interesting the different processes or priorities other places have. And I was like, wow, India, a third world country, was more thorough than we are here today. Well, how can our listeners find you?
For us, it's simple. Like we said before, you just go to as it's Team Jesus Ministries Incorporated is the name of our nonprofit, right? And the team stands, I told you, it's about for tell everyone about so Team Jesus, my Jesus, Ministries Incorporated. So if you go to the initials TJMI.net, we use the net because we want to catch a lot of people. You'll find our website. And at the website, there's a lot of different things you can go through and look at. There's videos, all kinds of stuff. You can also, if you're on Facebook, just go into the search bar and put those same letters, TJMI, and then the number 9 and the number 8, because we started in 98. And it will bring up some choices. One of them says Team Jesus Ministries and incorporated in the Xtreme Team. That's us. You can click on that. It'll show you stuff we've been doing throughout time, through as we go, because we put all our videos, all our stuff up there and a lot of different things. You can like us, follow us, and that's where we'll put stuff up. And then also we have our TJMI videos on YouTube, and that's all the videos. You can actually see me feed that hyena with my face and other things as well, and stuff we did in youth ministry. And so those are the three best ways to do that. We also put out a newsletter, and if you're interested in kind of staying on track with that, you can just drop me an email, and our email address is Wait, let me back that up. That's not where our email address is. Our email address is, let's see, what's the best one to use? Is Team Jesus 1998 at gmail.com. And you send that to us, and we'll put you on that, and we send it out by email once a month around the first of the month, and that's how you can find us. That's the best way to find us. And we do covet your prayers, because as we move around, like I said, I'm blind. I do a lot of stuff. Been here for 12 days. And that's kind of the cool thing. I love coming into Moses Lake, where Gary's at. And he has his church. It's Desert. It's the longest name in the world. It's the Moses Lake Desert Springs community Church of the Nazarene, and they meet at the Red Door, and you get a hold of him or go to that. Services start at 10:30, right? 10:30 on Sundays. And but I like coming in here because we've been able to do a lot of ministry in here. In the past, we've been in every school here. I do motivational speaking, obviously, in schools. We do talk about overcoming things. We talk about being dream makers and not dream breakers. We've got videos of that, pictures of that, and principles. And we're very interactive with the kids. We have a lot of stunts we do and a lot of things we do. It's a lot of fun. But then we've also done stuff like with Donnie Parker. We were out at, was it North School? One time on Halloween, and we have, stage set up and all these kids out there, trick or treat, the trunk or treat thing going on. And they're playing music and we're breaking things and we're just having a great time. But we've also done a lot of different outreaches in the area. Most recently, last Monday and Tuesday night, and it's, again, you can go Mondays and Tuesday nights. Monday nights for high school, Tuesday nights for middle school, is at YD, Youth Dynamics here in town. Is it on Main Street? On 3rd Street. On 3rd Street, right here in Moses Lake. Awesome building. And Sean Solis and his team, amazing. They feed the kids. They got a basketball court. They got a whole video thing upstairs. There's so much going on. And they do these amazing trips. Like they're going whitewater rafting for a week with kids. They're doing incredible things to reach Moses Lake. That's their whole thing, is to reach Moses Lake, the kids in this area, and they're doing a phenomenal job. Last Monday night, we were there, a bunch of kids there. We're sharing the gospel. We're bending steel, rolling up frying pans, doing what we do, talking about God's power over sin. And a dozen kids came forward and put their faith in Jesus. The next night, on Monday night, playing with the kids or middle schoolers, having a blast, joking around with them. We got up, we shared our faith again, and did what we do, and showed them God's power. And that night, 8 kids put their faith in Jesus and came forward. But this is what Sean and his group does every week. They're out there and, reaching those kids, loving on those kids. And they're a nonprofit and they raise all their support. And Youth Dynamics, YD, has been there for years and years and years and years. Actually, two of my guys were thinking about becoming the directors there back in the day. They loved it so much. And so we've been able to do that. We're excited about that. We've done just last Saturday, not 2 days ago, but 10 days ago, we did a men's breakfast and little conference thing, and I spoke, and there, three of the guys, man, they put their faith in Jesus, and so the I guess you would say the harvest is plentiful, the workers are few. I'm thankful what you're doing, Rick, that you're going to do a nonprofit and you're feeding people. There's a need in Moses Lake and the surrounding areas. And we've always seen that. We've always seen that the devil has a foothold here. But we also know that the believers are all about helping and doing good things and showing people the right way. And I think through that, we'll see Moses Lake really get stronger and stronger and healthier and healthier. And you guys know this, but Moses Lake is a hub for drug traffic, and so there's a lot of stuff that goes on, and that's one of the things Gary didn't say, but one of the things he does is he works with people with those addictions to help them come out of that, and he helps. That's why he's in the prisons and and in Grant County Jail and all that, because there's guys there, man, they've blown it. They've done wrong, man, and they're like, I just don't want to live like this anymore. But man, that meth and now with the fentanyl thing going on, all that, it's not like they just take drugs. People are dying. I mean, that's like the leading cause of death amongst young people right now in our United States, right? And so that's what he does. He's battling against that. He's in the trenches. He's on the front line, and our ministry can just come alongside him and help him do that. And that's one of the people, and that's like Rick, you're talking about, is feeding people and helping people. And Donnie is doing stuff and working. You guys have this rabbit hole thing where people can come together and talk and do things. The podcast, whatever brings attention to Moses Lake in this area, we need to do, because we need to see God move in here, and we need to see people get healthier and get away from the things that are going to drag them down and eventually kill them. A lot of it's going to kill them because of the drugs and the alcohol, things like that are going in the wrong direction, right? And so I'm thankful that I get to be in Moses Lake. I'm only here for 12 days, but I'm always amazed at how God is moving in this area and how much people just need. I met a guy, I was just standing there, and a guy walked by and he started talking to me. His name is Dustin. And he was just looking for, he didn't ask me for like, hey, do you got $20? I mean, I've been to fast food. You can't eat for less than $20, right? He just asked, do I got a couple of quarters? And I'm thinking, what good will that do? He was just hungry, and it's like if we can just help people and we can say, hey man, let me show you a better way. Let me get you off the streets. Let me help you be stronger. Let me get you trained up. Let me help you if you got an addiction. Let's get beyond that. Let's become what I'd call a good neighbor. Let's become a dream maker, not a dream taker. Let's let God do something in our life that's amazing. And I really think there's a group here in Moses Lake, and I really believe Donnie, Rick, you guys are a big part of that. And I want to see that rise up more and more. And that's why I come. That's why I want to be a part of it, because here it's healthy ground, man. There's a big harvest just waiting here, and there's people that need help, and I think that we can help them. I really do.
One last question, we'll wrap it up.
All right.
So, observing you this whole time, I see a lot of this athlete in you, and then you had your incident being blind, or the progress of that. But it's like I see like this, like the athlete has kind of shaped your life, and I guess how you present things, and I don't know, what am I trying to say here? Like I I I see the athlete in you now, even though you're not running marathons or playing football or crazy legs anymore. But there's I guess that athletic mindset that I see that is like still in you, from how you describe the interactive presentations you do, ripping phone books. Like there's still this athlete in you, but like I see that as like a major part of your life and maybe part of your why and how you do things. I was just wondering if you could help connect those dots, or did I already connect them?
Right. Yeah. I mean, you're right on. And so I think one of the best things we can do with our kids and as young people is become part of something, to become part of a baseball, little league or football or a dance team or anything that is a team. Because together we make things better, right? And it's the same. It's how the body of Christ works, right? It's one body, but there's different parts. Like not all of us can be a toe. Some of us have to be a finger, right? Some of us, we all have different parts. We all have different gifts, but together we become one body that goes out and shares the gospel with the world. And Jesus is the head of all that, right? It's the same thing when you look at a football team. I know in the NFL right now, if you're a quarterback, you get paid way too much. And they put all the emphasis on the quarterback, the quarterback, the quarterback. Yeah, pull the lineman out and see what happens to them. And we see guys just get torn up because they have a terrible line, right? And so what I've learned is that we're only as strong as our weakest link, but that's what makes us a team. Because if it's all about me, then we're not, I can have some success, but I'm not going to be very successful. But if I have a team that works with me, and where I might be short here, they might be long, they might be strong, right? And where we work together, we're able to do some great things. It's kind of like this, okay? So years ago, I was in the early 1900s. They had there's some guys in town. This is back when we're still using horses and all that kind of stuff a lot, right? And they had these two horses, and they were just these big old like Clydesdale type of horse, just strong, big horse. I'm not sure what the horse was, but they were going to have a contest to see which horse could pull the most weight. And so they fashioned together this sled, and they started putting weight on it. And so they started out, it was small, it was just 1,000 pounds, and each horse, no problem, man. They hooked it up, they were able to pull it, and they kept going and they kept going, they kept increasing it to see which horse could do more. Okay, well they got it up to I believe it was like 4,000 pounds, like 2 tons. And it was interesting because both horses were able to move it. It's on a sled. It's not wheels. It's on a sled. And they were able to move it, not far, but they were able to move it. And they thought, wow, man, these horses are incredible. What would happen if we teamed them up and put them together? You think they'd be able to move it easier? And they said, well, let's try. So they reharnessed everything. And they hooked the two horses up. They pulled that 4,000 pounds like it was nothing. So they said, well, let's try more. Let's try more. You guys, it wasn't like each of them were able to pull, you think, okay, they'll get to 8,000, we'll be done. They pulled 13,000 pounds between them. That's more than 3 times. But see, it's because they were a team and they were strong. But together they were much stronger. Same with us, right? We're a team. Like right now, we're sitting here. Rick, you're the host. Donnie's over here. He's the producer. Gary and I are guests, right? Take any one of us out, it kind of gets weird, right? But together we can bring a message that matters. We can make sure it sounds good. We can make sure the right questions are asked. We can make sure that the right things are being said to help people understand why they need to move forward. So teamwork makes the dream work. I'll just pull that one out of nowhere because it's only been said a million times, but it really does. And if we can work as a team, and that's the thing, like when I was here, it's like just getting the churches. If the churches would all come together and work as one, right? What was that? What was it? Do they still have that Serve Moses Lake thing going on here?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. So Serve Moses Lake, that was its idea. Get all the churches working together to help people, right? But if we could come together as people and just realize, hey, it doesn't hurt to help out, or it doesn't hurt to get involved, or it doesn't hurt to make sure something is going right in this person's life, or it doesn't hurt to reach out to this person or that person. And we've seen it a lot, but it's going to take a lot more. But if we rely on our own strength, we're going to fail. But if we rely on each other's strengths as a team, we're going to be more than successful, especially if we keep Jesus in the center of all that. People go, well, I don't know about that. It's like, you know what? I am 63 years old. I shouldn't be able to do the things I do. But because I got God's power in me and because Jesus is the center of my life and this is what he's called me to do, I keep going after it, and I will keep going after it until he tells me to do something else. And it's amazing what God can do in each person when we have a great team around us. And I have a great team around me all the time. So yeah, it's important.
Well, thank you for coming in, and find your team
Yeah.
and contribute to the world. This is the Ricksican Show signing out.